What's going on, guys? This is Kaishiro. Welcome back. So for our video today, we're going to cover another Uncrowned Kings local metagame report video that will cover tournament results and topping deck lists over the span of September 2 to September 15 on the OCG metagame format. So we will ponder on the deck lists that are topping recently, and we will see what are the deck builds that are gaining traction recently on our format. So without further ado, let's start. At first here, we have the Willis Dewata Weekly Tournament. We have Rescue Ace Champion Deck Profile. Nothing too extravagant on the deck list. Quite plain and standard basic deck list of Rescue Ace. But I guess this is the Link variant of Rescue Ace. He shied away from playing the Synchro package on Rescue Ace because I think the SP Little Knight end board of Rescue Ace is very good on dealing against Veilers and Imperms, because you can use the SP Little Knight to dodge your Imperm and Veilers of your opponent when you are trying to resolve your Turbulence. And resolving Turbulence on Rescue Ace is the most important thing that you should always consider, because you rely on resolving the Turbulence most of the time. So yeah, I think this is a very sensible deck list from Captain Bayu Separo. And next we have Axis 8 or Luna from Shandy. I think this is a very functional deck when going second. You capitalize on using the Danger package and the rank 8 Axis on your deck to OTK your opponent. I think the only reason why this deck is not that good on the format is because this deck lacks the firepower to set up a very powerful board on turn 1. I think if you are trying to capitalize on the rank 8 toolbox on the game right now, I think it's better to play Horus right now than this deck. But nonetheless, I think this is a very strong deck when going second. Just look at the main deck. It has a lot of going second options like the Bestials, the Shifter, the Alpha Master Beast, and also the Pancrataps. So there's a lot of things that you should always consider when you are trying to break boards using this deck. Very nice from Shandy. And then next we have a deck list from Lukman. Good stuff. You have Prank Kids, you have Super Heavy Samurai, you have Matmech, and you also have Dogmatica on the deck. This is a very absurd deck list from Lukman. This is 10 billion IQ deck list from him. I think it capitalizes on maximizing the one card combos of different engines here on his deck list. Then he relies on hand traps like Maxi Ash, Veiler, Nibiru when going second. I think this is a very innovative list from Lukman. I think you have a lot of things to play on this deck, and it's kinda hard to choke and stop this deck when doing their combos, because you have Prank Kids to be considered, and you also have Matmech that has Super Factorial Pass. So yeah, this is a very unique deck list from Lukman. And then moving on, we have Prodigy Bekasi Weekly Tournament. At first here, we have champion deck list of Verel. We have Manadium. So this is the standard deck list of Manadium, but most deck lists of Manadium right now are with Bestials. I think that's the latest trend and innovation of the Manadium deck list right now. But I think this is a very functional deck list from Verel. I'm just missing out the Plug Spreader Zombie on this list, but I think the Ahiro Leaves and the Prisma is very essential towards this Manadium. And also this deck can turbo out the Calamity, of course. Calamity is a very toxic card on the current format, an instant win card most of the time. So yeah, I think I really see why this deck can really top on this format where Calamity is such an absurd card. So yeah. And then next we have Paducah Weekly Tournament. We have another Matmech here. This Matmech is really standard, I assume. You play the Lady Debug and also the Coders and Triple Signet Mining. You couldn't go wrong with Triple Signet Mining. You always want to prioritize your consistency on this deck, especially you lost the Circular, 2 copies of Circular. So yeah, I think Signet Mining should be at 3. And place the Forbidden Droplet and Red Reboot. Very interesting. I think Forbidden Droplet is kinda good because there's a lot of decks that sets up a handful of interruptions and negations. we have the Horus decks with the Horus Orcus and Horus Tyrions, and also Tearlaments with a lot of monsters that can negate and interrupt. So yeah, Droplet really makes a lot of sense on this deck list, and one Cosmic Cyclone as well. I think this is a very huge card against Centurion. Cosmic Cyclone really helps you to ease the Centurion matchup, and also Red Reboot. Kinda weird here, but I think you have to be prepared as well on dealing against Runic and Labyrinth. So yeah, Red Reboot is nice. And look at the side deck. He plays the Royal Decree. Royal Decree is a very spicy tech right now in the format, because Centurion on the spell and trap zones are considered as continuous traps. So if you flip Royal Decree against Centurion, most of the time, or 95% of the time, they will automatically lose because their cards are treated as trap cards on their spell and trap moment. So yeah, the moment you flip, the Royal Decree means game for you. So yeah, this is very spicy on the deck list of Matmech. And next we have Infernoble Knight with Mechanco Engine. So yeah, you just really capitalize the fact that you can innovate the Infernoble Knight and Mechanco to fetch out your equip magic cards, spell cards. So yeah, I think this is a very unique deck as well on the format. I don't really see taps of Infernoble Mechanco recently, but yeah, I think this works out for him. And then next we have Tearlaments, Goodness Gracious. Tearlaments will never get out of the metagame as things stands now. I think Konami will likely to ban the Millers, the Kelbeck and Agido. And also, you can also address the Chaos Ruler. I think either of the two would be correct, because Dragon Link won the World Championship tournament. So I think Konami has the reason to hit the Dragon Link as well on our OCG format, but I hope it does not reflect on our ban list, especially TCG limited the Chaos Space and Magnamut, no? I think OCG can follow that path and hit the Dragon Link as well, but I really pray that they don't do that here, because I'm a Dragon Link player as well, and I have just recently bought the deck. So yeah, I don't want any hits for my Dragon Link. And to be fair, Dragon Link is a very average and fair deck right now on the format. It really does nothing that spectacular. So yeah. Then next we have Devil Slayer YGO tournament. At first here we have Earth Good Stuff, Adamant Spectre, Vernosilph, Earth Stuff 60. So yeah, it's really refreshing to see 60 pile decks, no? I think most of the decks are standardized on 40 card only recently on our OCG metagame. So this is one of the decks that capitalizes and patronizes the 60 card mechanic of Yu-Gi-Oh! So yeah, this is a very combo heavy deck. I think if this deck goes first and you don't have answers like Maxi Droll or anything that can stop the line of play of this deck, it's very absurd because it can summon the Chenging, Baroness, Savage, Natura Beast, Dweller, Apollousa, SP Little Knight, IP Masquerena. So yeah, all of the most powerful end boards and extra deck monsters are kinda used and capitalized on this deck. You have the Natura Beast, which is very strong against the Purely, because Purely are consistent of spell cards, of course, and also Runic are spell-based deck. So yeah, Natura Beast is very strong against the format right now. And then moving on, we have Bestial Centurion. So this is the latest trend of Centurion right now. They try to incorporate the Bestial so that they can have that extra push and extra ceiling of the deck. You have to have the Saronniers and your Magnamus and Druisworm and Baldrake along with the branded beast. So yeah, you have that extra leeway for this deck to shine, especially if your Centurion line of play would get interrupted, and Bestials as well are very strong against Tearlaments matchup. So yeah, I think this is very sensible right now. The only thing that bothers me on this deck list is he plays 2 Raigeki. I really don't see how Raigeki is that relevant on the format. I think it's kinda underwhelming, to be honest. Most decks has that extra Omni-Negate on their side of the field. So yeah, Raigeki is pretty much useless against those Omni-Negate decks on the format. And then next we have another Manadium. So yeah, I think this is similar to the deck list earlier. Nothing too spicy or extravagant except for the fact that he plays Raigeki and Harpy's Feather Duster on the main deck. I think it's just precautionary on the matchups on his locals, especially the Feather Duster. Maybe he's trying to play around back row decks. And then next we have Rika San Avalon. So yeah, this is also a very popular deck on the TCG, but it doesn't really translate that much on the OCG metagame. I think this deck has that potential to top and dominate if the format has no Maxi, but sadly OCG has Maxi, of course, so we are going to play around Maxi most of the time. So yeah, that is the bane of Rika, to be honest. And yeah, I think this deck is still should be respected as a rogue deck, especially Jessica Robinson really popularized and revolutionized the Rika strategy over the time. So yeah, I think it's a pretty decent deck right now. And then next we have Sky Striker with Change of Heart on the main deck, really spicy, and with Foolish Burial Goods as well, kinda what do you call this, unique, because I really don't see why Foolish Burial Goods can be that good on the format. Because if you're trying to pick up the pace of Sky Striker, you know what I'm saying, trying to speed up the tempo of Sky Striker, I think it doesn't really elevate the Sky Striker strategy, because most of the decks right now are faster by a mile against Sky Striker. You're not going to keep up on par on the tempo and pace of many decks right now on the format, especially the meta decks using the Sky Striker. So yeah, if I'm going to approach this deck list, I'm going to just use more hand traps in replacement of the Foolish Burial Goods, so that I can have cards to slow the tempo of the game and command the position on slowing the game down using the Sky Striker. Because in a slow game, that's where Sky Striker comes out alive or comes out on top. You outgrind your opponent in a slow game, and yeah, you win from the long game. And then next, moving on, we have Makassar Duelist Community Tournament. At first here we have Rescue Ace, so nothing too spicy, no? He plays the Double Veiler on the main deck and Imperm. Kinda unusual, no? Because he plays Imperm. Most of the time, Rescue Ace players doesn't even want to play Imperm, because most of the time, or almost 90% of the time, your spell and trap zones are occupied with your set 4 pass from the Turbulence, and also your cross out, your Called by the Grave. So you really don't have that much room for another card to be set on your SNT zone like Imperm. So yeah, I would rather play Ghost Mourner or more copies of Veiler if I were him. And yeah, the side deck is pretty much linear, 3 anti-spell Fragrance. He opted to play Fragrance over Judgment, no? I think Fragrance covers the ground of Lightning Storm right now in the format. But yeah, I think Judgment is still better on the side deck. And yeah, XYZ Encore, of course, to respect the purely matchup. And then next we have Chimera. Yeah, Chimera. With Small World, no? I think Small World makes the deck more consistent. But yeah, I really prefer to play Chimera now with Horus, because it gives that extra ceiling and extra resiliency over the Chimera. But I think the pure version is still decent, no? Yeah, very decent as well. And also plays the Frightful package, the Echimp Chain, and also on the side deck, Super Poly. I really like Super Poly right now in the format, because Super Poly covers a lot of ground on the format. You have the Tearlaments, of course, they are dark monsters, and also Tearlaments, rather, Super Poly covers the Centurion matchup, because Centurion has that window where they have Legacia on the field, and they also have Primera. So yeah, you use the Super Poly to target those Legacia and Primera into making something like the Madragon Fusion, so that they cannot go into Calamity. So yeah, I think it's very important right now to stop the Centurion from going into Calamity, because yeah, Calamity is instant win most of the time. And then next we have top three decklists here, Nemrelia from Agum. So this is like a very weird deck because it plays the evenly match on the main deck. Those going second cards like Shifter and Red Reboot, and he also plays Judgment. I'm kinda lost on translation on interpreting the goal or objective of this deck. I think he made this deck to be more versatile rather than more linear on dictating his gameplay. So yeah, he's very flexible and versatile because he is prepared on going first, he is prepared as well on going second. And yeah, I think this deck is in a nice spot right now. This deck got support from the previous set, and I'm really not sure how it impacted the Nemrelia, but it got better for sure. And next, we have Evo Community Weekly Tournament. At first place here, we have Ignister with Matmech Engine. So yeah, Ignister is still that deck that capitalizes on the most powerful Cybers extra deck monsters on the game. You have the Uptick Jammer and Access Code combo that can really OTK and push for damage when going second, and you just sit on powerful Link for Cybers monsters on going first. So yeah, I think this deck is still decent, I think it can really play around on many hand traps and cards right now in the format, but it really does struggle against Droll, and luckily for them, Droll is kinda losing on popularity nowadays. Droll is not that favored enough on the main deck or even side deck of many people. They just choose to play Ogre to answer the Centurion. Yeah, I think they really don't respect purely that much now, unlike before. And next we have Marinces. So it's been a while where I have seen Marinces top on our OCG metagame tournaments. It's kinda refreshing to see Marinces once again, but I don't think this deck is that good enough to conquer and compete the current format. But I guess it can still top, in the hands of the right pilot. I think this deck is still really viable and decent at some extent, but yeah, I think it's kinda subpar right now on the format. And next we have Dinosaur, so another underrated deck, very sleeper deck. Most people really sleeps on Dino, but this deck can really be very tricky to play against. This can go first and set up some huge board with the Savage, with the Barone, with the Dolka, and those Chengying. So yeah, this deck can go first, and absolutely this deck can go second with the Conductor Tyranno. It can really OTK really quickly on this deck list. So yeah, I think Dinosaur is in a good spot right now on the format. And then moving on, we have Headquarters Hobbies and Card Games Ranking Tournament. At first here, we have Fadila, Rescue Ace. So yeah, this is a very standard deck list of Rescue Ace. I really commend his side deck. Oh, his side deck is only 13 cards. But yeah, his side deck is very concise and linear on answering the meta. You have Droll to answer the purely and combo decks. You have Lancea to answer the Rescue Ace matchup, the mirror match, and you have Ghost Ogre to answer the Centurion, and Super Poly as well to answer the Centurion and Tier Elements. So yeah, this is a very nice deck list from Fadila, a very concise and functional side deck from him. And this Rescue Ace is kinda different from the one that we have seen earlier, the Link line of play of Rescue Ace. This deck focuses more on summoning out the Dragster, the Savage, the Arclight, those Synchro Monsters on his extra deck. And next we have VS here, Vanquish Soul. This deck are kinda toned down, We have seen a lot of Vanquish Soul tops on our previous metagame review and decklist review. So yeah, this deck is kinda losing in traction. I think this deck are going into lower tiers on following meta tier list. But yeah, I think this deck is still very decent. I just think that more people are invested on playing Centurion and the newer decks right now on the format, like Pendulum Magician and other decks that got supported and got more powerful. So yeah, I think Vanquish Soul is still a very decent deck, a very powerful at that extent as well. to play on the format. And also, Vanquisho has that ability to play that there can be only one, which is very destructive against the format. It is very strong against Purely, very strong against Rescue Ace. So yeah, there can be only one is one of the things that you should be wary about when playing against Vanquisho. And then next we have Dragon Link, the World Champion deck. This is a very distinct Dragon Link deck list. He plays the Black Metal Dragon and the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Most of the time, OCG people just plays the Seyfert and the usual Tracer, the usual Wyver Buster Chaos Engine on Dragon Link, but he begged to differ on that norm on playing Dragon Link on the OCG. He plays the Black Metal. I think Black Metal is a very refreshing sight on Dragon Link. Most people really don't play the Black Metal on Dragon Link decks on the OCG, especially on Japan. They don't really play this card. But yeah, on the TCG, it is favored to play the Black Metal over the Seyfert and those other Dragon Link non-engine cards. So yeah, Triple Phantasmi on the side deck, really interesting. You have things like Vanquisho, you have things like the Link base, Rescue Ace. You also have to worry about Unchained, because Unchained is very popular right now on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Alone, because it's one of the top decks right now on the TCG format, and many OCG people really follows the the TCG content, so they kinda inspired to play Unchained as well. So yeah, Phantasmi is kinda low-key good here on the side deck of Andrike. And then next we have William P. Centurion. So this is the Centurion with Horus and as well as Diabell Star, Sinful Spoils. Very interesting. You have a lot of engines that can be played on the Centurion. So you have things to play if your opponent can interrupt your line of play of Centurion. If they have Ogre and other cards that can break the line of play of going to the Calamity, you have the options to play with the Horus and Sinful Spoils. So yeah, it's very innovative from William. And then moving on, we have Stardust weekly tournament. At first here we have another Ignister, no? So Ignister, I think it's the second top or third top of Ignister right now on our metagame review on this September 2 to 15. I think Ignister is kinda sleeper. I think many people will not be prepared on dealing against this deck. That's why this deck is gaining tops recently. And then next we have another Rikasan Avalon. So yeah, I think it's pretty decent. It's in a pretty decent spot right now on the OCG because many people will not really respect the matchup. Most of the time they are not really prepared on facing against Rika. They don't have the knowledge or prior preparation on dealing against Rika. So yeah, I can see where this deck can really surprise people and catch people off guard. And next we have Arcanium Hobbies Tournament. At first place here we have Gob's Rescue Ace. So really spicy. He plays Book of Moon on the main deck. Book of Moon is one of the latest innovations tech cards right now on the OCG format. You have Book of Moon to answer the Centurion. Book of Moon really does well against Centurion. And of course, your Turbulence are very protected by Book of Moon to play around negation hand traps like Veiler and Imperm. So yeah, really, Book of Moon is a very spicy tech here from Gobs. And I think this works very fine for him. And yeah, on the side deck, the usual Super Poly and Cosmic Cyclone as well. You need to respect Runic all of the time because Runic is still one of the most relevant decks on the OCG format. So Cosmic Cyclone is a good card to answer the Runic matchup and Floodgate matchups of this metagame. And the next we have Peter Labyrinth. So yeah, the standard deck list of Labyrinth, he just preferred to play Ghost Ogre on the main deck because of course it answers the Centurion matchup. Triple Transaction Rollback, some play too, but I think the third copy of Transaction Rollback really comes up on the longer games, on the grindy games. You really rely on having the third copy of Rollback on those long games. And yeah, on the side deck, pretty linear deck dev on the side deck. And next, we have third place, another rescue ace, Sinful Spoils. So yeah, it really does the, what do you call this, the functionality of rescue ace, because it's kinda similar for all of the rescue ace stops that we have seen on this metagame so far. And the only difference is playing the Camellia on the extra deck and the Aurora Dawn. So most of the time they don't really play the Camellia, but yeah, I think it's kinda good here on the extra deck. And then next we have another rescue ace, 4th place from Gusti. So interesting, he plays Super Poly on the main deck. I think it's really a good card to be in a commanding position against Centurion post game 1, or rather on game 1. So yeah, I think rather Super Poly is kinda surprising for them. And plays the Ningirisu on the extra deck. I really don't see why he does play this, and also plays the Proxy F Magician. He really don't wanna play the Synchro package on the extra deck. Instead, he pays to give importance to the Proxy F Magician and Madragon Fusion line of play. And then next, we have Osiris Dubilis Yu-Gi-Oh! Community Tournament. At first here, we have Marinces. So I think it's the second Marinces here that we have seen so far. So yeah, Marinces is kinda surprising me on this version of Metagame Report. This Marinces player plays the Water State U, or Water Barrier State U Taboo on the main deck. I think it can really surprise people. There's no really water decks right now in the format that are being played. So yeah, this deck can really stun a lot of people on the format, and plays Ghost in Match as well. Very spicy. And the next we have Horus, Spiral Horus. Wow, this is new to my eyes. I haven't seen Spiral Horus, to be honest. I think it is a very go big or go home deck, where you really focused on going first and going big on setting up your board using this Spiral. And the next we have Satellar Knight, or Teller Knight. So this is another form of turn skipping deck right now with the Teller Knight. I think this deck is kinda rogue at best on the format, but it can catch people off guard, especially if they don't know what to interrupt against this deck. I have been also a victim on Teller Knight. Shoutouts to Carol, he's playing Teller Knight and I was caught off guard on his line of plays, and he eventually skipped my turn. So yeah, this is a very hard deck to play against. And moving on, we have KGS Card Shop Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament. At first here, we have Trap Tricks. So yeah, Trap Tricks is kinda budget and kinda functional as well. Very good budget deck on the format. I really like the fact that he played Retaliating Sea. Retaliating Sea is very strong against Purely, very good against Branded, can be good against Rescue Ace at some occasions. So yeah, this is a very flexible card right now on the side deck. And then moving on, we have a card weekly tournament. First here we have Arif Labyrinth. So 2 extravagance only, and plays the Prosperity. Most of the time they don't really play the Prosperity here, but yeah, he is missing the 3rd copy of Extrav, and instead he plays the Prosperity, and also plays Rivalry on the main deck. I think Rivalry can be good on dealing against some matchups because Rivalry can stun many opponents, and plays the Arias as well. Most Labyrinth players really does not play the Arias most of the time. So yeah, it's kinda weird to see Arias, but Arias can be helpful on certain occasions where you turbo out your trap cards, normal trap cards on your disposal, and plays the Appointer. I think Appointer is very good here on Labyrinth because most of the time you really don't expect what to be prepared on precautionary measures when you're going first. I think Appointer is one of the safest bets that you can play to play around most of the cards now on the format against board breakers and board wipes and other unconventional tech cards that may hurt your strategy on this Labyrinth. So yeah, Appointer really does make a lot of sense on the side deck. And next we have Adib second place, Tearlaments, Sinful Spoils with Revo Synchron on the main deck. Really spicy. I think the goal of this deck is just to turbo out the Chaos Ruler, of course, because Chaos Ruler mills 5 for you. And also, yeah, the Sinful Spoils gives that extra resiliency and sealing towards these Tearlaments. And on the side deck, you place the Black Rose Dragon. It can really nuke some boards on the format. And yeah, Lava Golem, because you really don't consume your normal summon on this deck now. The only normal summon here is kinda the Merly. So yeah, you really don't commit on your normal summon. So Lava Golem really helps you in going second. And then moving on, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Metagame Malang Tournament. At first here, we have Cliff Chimera. So yeah, place there can be only one on the main deck. I have said it earlier that there can be only one is very strong against the format right now. And Wang Hu Tiger as well, very good against Purely. And yeah, I think Wang Hu Tiger should be the main deck option on Pure Chimera deck list. And yeah, on the side deck, it's really unconventional. He plays Token Collector because yeah, adventure decks are kinda popular right now, especially the adventure tournaments. So Token Collector can answer that, and also the Sword Soul matchup, of course. Token Collector is very insane against Sword Soul. And yeah, moving on, we have another dinosaur here from Alliancia. So yeah, standard decklist of dinosaur, really linear and very functional. 41 card main deck. Opted to play a main deck Droll here on this decklist. I think Droll is kinda subpar on some matchups, but if his locals are combo oriented, of course Droll will be a very good card to answer that matchups. And the next we have Tribe Brigade, Sprite Tribe Brigade. So most people innovated Tribe Brigade on Horus now. I have seen lesser and lesser taps of Sprite Tribe Brigade as the format goes on, because most people really likes to play Horus on Tribe Brigade. But I think Sprite Tribe Brigade is still very decent right now. You have the capacity to play the best level 2 monsters on the game with the Sprite and the Kit and the Keras. So yeah, it really does make a lot of sense. And moving on, we have Oasis Yu-Gi-Oh! Weekly Tournament. At first here, we have another Vanquishol. So main deck's the copy of Kurikara. Really makes a lot of sense. It is a fire, so you can have this card as a reveal target, and also can break the boards of Purely right now and other combo decks. And the next we have another Sky Striker here. So only 2 copies of Ray, really interesting. Maybe he doesn't wanna see the Ray on his hand most of the time. Really vexing here to see 2 copies only of Ray. And yeah, 1 Rose, I really don't see the logic of playing 2 Ray. But yeah, I think he focused more on getting going second cards on the deck, like hand traps like Droll and Evilly Match and Lightning Storm. So yeah, I think it's a very distinct approach on playing Sky Striker right now. And the next we have rank 3 deck, we have Altergeist. So Altergeist in a very controlling deck list here, plays the Spellcaster of the Village of the Spellcaster rather. This is very insane against Runic and Purely, and plays Skill Drain and Summon Limit to stun opponents. So yeah, I think Altergeist in a pure version is in a really weird spot right now in the format. I think if you're going to play Altergeist, you should play this Altergeist with the Sinful Spoils engine. And then moving on, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament of KG's Card Shop. Once again, we have another Dino decklist here with Scrap Engine and Litosegam True King Engine, and with Fairy Tail Engine as well. So very extensive number of decklists. Plays as well the Yang Zing package, and the Prohibition on the main deck, very spicy, no? I think he wants to call hand trap that can hurt his line of play, something like Droll. And on the side deck, really unconventional as well. His side deck are mostly extra deck cards, no? I think he has the option to play the Calamity Root on this Dino, and only plays hand trap like Dogwood on the side deck and Ogre very spectacular and interesting decklist here. And then next, we have Prodigy Bekasi tournament. At first here, we have another Sinful Spells Rescue Ace. So yeah, it's very standard. We won't really dwell on this too much because yeah, it's very standard. Place 1 copy of Vader and 2 copies of Imperm. But aside from that, it's really basic or standard. And then next, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Kagayan de Oro Community tournament. At first here, we have another Rescue Ace. So we can already tell that on this format, Rescue Ace Sinful Spoils is the best deck by just looking on the what are the decks and how many Rescue Ace Sinful Spoils have top on our browsing here right now. I think you should really consider that Rescue Ace is the best deck on the format right now. And on the side deck, very interesting here, he plays DD Crow. I think it is for the 3 elements match up and can be good as well against Purely because DD Crow can really staffle the Purely. And also Ghost Bell against Labyrinth, of course. Ghost Bell is kinda good against Labyrinth and also on branded matchups. So yeah, very interesting here. And then moving on, we have another Yu-Gi-Oh! Kagayan de Oro Community Tournament. We have Dogmatica Invoke with branded engine. So yeah, I think it's very different right now because most of the time Invoke Dogmatica plays the Sinful Spoils package. I think that's the most consistent version of this deck right now. But yeah, you are just trying to capitalize on summoning out Winda, no? I think it really won't that make much of the difference aside from consistency. So yeah, the goal of this deck is to just turbo out Winda and win the game from there. Floodgate the opponent and win with Winda. And the next, we have Kagayan de Oro Community again, another tournament. Now we have Eldritch here. So yeah, Eldritch with Horus, yeah. So very interesting. Plays Inspector Border on the main deck. The deck is really makes me dizzy. There's a lot of one-offs like one TTT and one Prohibition and one Amano Iwato. So yeah, very crazy deck list here from the Kagayan de Oro Community. And then moving on, we have another Kagayan de Oro Community Tournament. Top 4 deck list, we have Luanderis here with Book of Moon and the Apache on the main deck. So yeah, this is one of the most interesting decks on Flowanderis. I am also using this deck on Flowanderis. I play the Apache on the main deck as the extra normal summon for M-Pen. The downside is you have to hard draw the Apache. But yeah, I think it's very strong if you can draw the Apache from summoning out from M-Pen. Normal summoning out from M-Pen. So yeah, I think it's kinda good here. And the next, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Davao Mindanao Gaming. We have Davao Ranking Tournament. At first here, we have Gregory Pizarro with Rescue Ace. So yeah, 1 Veiler and 2 Imperm, no? I think it's been a norm for some people right now. But if I'm going to play Rescue Ace, I think I would just play 1 Imperm as a cross-out target. But he doesn't even play cross-out if I'm seeing things correctly on this deck list. Yeah, no cross-out. So yeah, he doesn't really want Imperm as a cross-out target only. Instead, he opted to play Imperm as his utility card to hunt up his opponents. So yeah, really interesting. On the side deck, he played Dimensional Barrier, no? Very interesting here on the side deck because most of the time they just play Judgment or sometimes Anti-Spell Fragrance. But yeah, it's very rare to see Dimensional Barrier on the side deck of Rescue Ace. And then next we have Trap Tricks here. So Trap Tricks with Compulsory on the main deck. I think it's a very neat budget option on the main deck of Trap Tricks here from Allen. Plays Evenly Match on the main deck as well on the Trap Tricks. I think it's kinda standardized as well because Evenly Match can really make some meta decks self-destruct on the current format. I think Evenly Match can really help you win games against Rescue Ace and the other decks as well that are control oriented like Labyrinth and Runic. And then moving on, we have Duelo Iloilo Ranking Tournament. We have Infernoid with Sinful Spoils, no, I think this deck will eventually get better because Infernoid will have a new support from the following set. I think it's from a dual terminal set that will be introduced soon on the OCG. So yeah, Infernoid will get more support, and it's very interesting and exciting to see how this deck will shape on the following formats, because this deck has been kinda under the radar or most of the time dead, no, on the metagame. So yeah, Infernoid kinda have that resurgence soon that we are going to find out. And then next we have another Duelo Iloilo ranking tournament. We have Drytron here. So yeah, very standardized decklist of Drytron. I don't know the name of the rituals between Ben 10 and the Drytron monster. I don't really know how this functions on this decklist. But yeah, Drytron, if Drytron can go first, of course, you have the negations on this Drytron that can negate everything. So yeah, I think Drytron is still manageable at the very least. And then next we have another Duelo Iloilo, another Runic here. So yeah, standard decklist of Runic. I think 2 Gozen match and 2 rivalry is very interesting. He played the Dispelling on the main deck. Most people ditch the Dispelling on the main deck. And very interesting as well, he plays Time Tearing Morganite on the main deck. I think he wants to capitalize on drawing 2 cards on the latter stages of the game using the Morganite. So yeah, it's kinda interesting here. And on the side deck, plays the Alpha Master of Beasts and Pancratops. His going second tech options are kinda different and unusual from a Runic decklist. And then moving on, we have Game Store, Fire King. So wow, this is the introduction of Fire King now. We have the new structure deck of Fire King recently, and this already top with the Tri-Brigade Revolt. Very interesting. Of course, you have the Fire Beast Warrior monsters on your graveyard, those BBWs, and you use the Revolt to summon out the Shurig and something like Ferigit. So I think you have an option to play into going into Burbram. So you search for Revolt. You just don't hard draw the copy of Revolt. You have options to play to maximize this Tri-Brigade extra deck engine here. And also place the Dogmatica Maximus on the main deck. So yeah, very interesting. And place Artemis Slay as well. It's been a while since I have seen the Artemis Slay on the side deck of people. It's really unusual, but I get the logic because he's just trying to capitalize on having Elder Entity Entities and Ferigit and this Fossil Warrior fusion monster on his extra deck. So yeah, Fire King, very interesting. And then next we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Community Zambales Tournament. At first here we have Vanquish Shoal Super Heavy Samurai. So this is the more explosive variant of Vanquish Shoal. You really try na play the Super Heavy Samurai engine so that you can go into something like Appaloosa or something like Savage or something like Barone. And at the bare minimum, you have the rank 4 toolbox to play something like Baguska and Dweller to answer problematic matchups on the format. And next we have Ninja here. So yeah, Ninja is kinda in a weird spot right now in the format. There's not many people playing Ninja nowadays, but I really feel like Ninja is in a very weird spot because most people really don't know what to play or how to play against Ninja. And also, Ninja can be very frustrating to deal against those flipping down cards mechanic, and suddenly you can get OTK'd by their monster. So yeah, it's very insane to play around Ninja right now. And next we have Fluandris here. So this time it doesn't play the Patchy. So this is a more standard version of Fluandris. Plays double duality, double extrav, and triple, rather one prosperity. So yeah, on the side deck, focus more on going second 2 Dark Ruler No More, 1 Cosmic Cyclone, and Lightning Storm. So yeah, very interesting. And then next, we have Dynamorphia. So Dynamorphia has been low-key good on the current format. I think most of the decks doesn't really have the out the Rexterm right now on the Dynamorphia. And yeah, I have a friend named Jude Cruz on our Kaidul's local community, and he's been tapping quite extensively using the Dynamorphia. But I think Dynamorphia Horus is the best option right now on playing Dynamorphia. And then next we have Blackwing here. So yeah, another deck that can turbo out the Calamity. How surprising, no? Calamity has been really patronized right now on the current format in our OCG metagame. And then next we have Mola Hobby Shop Tournament. We have another Rescue Ace. I think it's the same deck list from earlier, no? With the triple Book of Moon. So yeah, we will not ponder on it too much. And then next we have Centurion Bestial. So yeah, side deck copies of Book of Eclipse. I think although Book of Eclipse can get ashed if you're trying to use this against Centurion, I think it's very huge against Centurion as well. It works the similar function and fashion like Book of Moon, but on Book of Eclipse you have more area of coverage on using this card, and it can be really devastating. And then next we have Rescue Ace here with Forbidden Droplet on the main deck. So very interesting as well. And next we have Earth Good Stuff, 59 cards, a shy away from being 60. Nothing too surprising here on this Adamantipator list. And the next we have Winkuribo, any member weekly tournament. So yeah, at first here we have Vanquishol with Sword Soul, no? Very interesting. He plays the Long Yuan. I'm not too sure about this. I think it's just for burn damage, no? I really don't see why Long Yuan is played here as a fiery will target, maybe. But other than that, I really don't see what are the plays behind this. And then next we have Dragon Link. So Dragon Link with Grass. So you fetch off the Dragon Link monsters and the Thunder Dragon monsters on the graveyard using the Grass. And also you have the option to play the Thunder Dragon Colossus, which is very strong on the current format. It is very insane against Purely and can be good against many rogue deck options right now in the format. With the floodgating presence of Colossus that prevents them from adding cards, it's very insane. And next we have Salamangreat here with Bufferlo on the main deck. Very interesting. I have seen Bufferlo Salamangreat in the Philippines with Justin De La Peña, recent top of top 8 in Kaido's Championship Series, but he still plays the Salamangreat of Fire. But this deck is kinda the older version of Salamangreat, does not play the Salamangreat of Fire. But I also understand that because Salamangreat of Fire is kinda expensive right now. Maybe that's it's a budget Salamangreat deck list. And then next we have Jobel Bios on Davao Ranking Tournament. We have Manedium. So Manedium has been tearing it lately, no? I think this is a alternate option if you don't have the money to buy the Centurion right now. I think Manedium can work just fine in the similar fashion that you turbo out the Calamity on your games 90% of the time. And then next we have Thunder Dragon, Super Heavy Samurai. So another interesting here from Andrew Aguinaldo, an interesting deck list here. So you patronize on playing the Super Heavy Samurai as your extenders so that you can go into something like Pulusa. And also he plays Chaos Ruler, no? So yeah, I think it's very distinct right now to see this deck list. But I can see the lines on this deck. You use the Super Heavy Samurai to elevate the ceiling of the deck, and you use the Thunder Dragon line of play to summon out the Thunder Dragon Colossus. And then moving on, we have Toy Shogun Casual Wednesday Tournament from Chester Galgana. Another good duelist here in the Philippines using Fire King. So Fire King without Sinful Spoils Engine. Oh, he does have Sinful Spoils Engine, only the Fire Searcher. So yeah, really interesting. Fire King has been doing pretty decent, or kinda good now, because I think it's the second time that we have seen Fire King on our metagame report here. But yeah, this deck plays the extravagant, so he doesn't really care about the extra deck. So yeah, I think we will really look into some decklist of Fire King to determine what are the best builds of Fire King, because it's very different, and players really have diverse decklists of Fire King right now. So we can tell already what are the best standard version of Fire King right now. But it's been doing great right now since their release. And the next we have Bandung Duelist tournament. At first here we have Dragon Link main deck, Noctovision, very spicy here from Arvin. Plays the Levener as well on the main deck. I don't know what is the name of this Fire OCG exclusive monster on the deck. So he plays Sinful Spoils engine here. Very interesting. I think it can work as an extender, and also the Synchron package. Very spicy from Arvin. And next we have Putra, purely. So triple copies of Book of Moon and triple copies of Cosmic Cyclone. So he really does not want to lose against Centurion. He does have a lot of answers to Centurion like Ghost Ogre and Cosmic and BOM. So yeah, this is a list that is very prepared on dealing against Centurion. And then next we have Rescue Ace here, Diabel Star from Nathan, Sinful Spells. So yeah, standard deck list, nothing too spicy except for the fact that he plays Triple Witch on the main deck. I really don't recommend playing Triple Witch. I think 2 can work, but 1 is the best option for me of ratio of Diablo Star Witch. And then next we have Memento. Wow, it is the first time on this video that we have seen Memento. I think Memento is a very sleeper deck right now in the format. Many people, including me, don't really know how this deck functions, to be honest. And looking on this decklist, it's kinda budget as well. If you're going to remove the BLS Link and the Underworld Goddess. So yeah, I think Memento is a good deck for starters right now. If they're trying to play on a budget, balling on a budget right now, I think Memento is a good deck. Because it will only get better, of course, if the Konami will really support for Memento, which is very likely to happen. Of course, this is a deck build archetype, so it will get support no matter what. And then next we have Centurion Horus with Resonator engine. Very interesting. I think this is a very distinct Centurion Horus decklist. Plays the what do you call this? Sark on continuous spell of Centurion into 2 copies. Most of the time I only see 1 copy, and plays Resonator as well, so that it can extend plays on this decklist. And the next we have another Centurion Horus. Wow, so Centurion Horus has been doing really great right now on the OCG metagame. This deck has won a lot of tournaments by just being released on this OCG metagame format. So I think Konami will eventually hit the Calamity, but yeah, who knows. And the next we have Rescue Ace. So standard decklist of Rescue Ace. I'm kinda getting tired of seeing Rescue Ace now, because the deck is kinda standardized, because we have seen the best versions of the deck from big tournaments. So yeah, people really know what to build on Rescue Ace right now. And then next we have Unchained. So this deck is very popular on the TCG, and this Unchained list particularly has that TCG influence because it plays the Book of Moon and Book of Eclipse. So yeah, I think this approach works on the TCG to answer the Kashtira, of course, because books are good against Kashtira. But on the OCG, it is used to answer the Centurion. So yeah, it's kind of funny, that books are relevant once again on both formats, except for the fact that Arise Heart has been touched on the ban list on the TCG right now. But yeah, I think books are kinda worth noting right now. And then next, we have Duelist Devata Weekly Tournament. At first here, we have Paramina, use T1, Volcanic. So I think many people will be more knowledgeable on Volcanic because of the fire attribute event. I think some people will support this volcanic deck on that event. And yeah, I think volcanic will get innovations from that tournament, especially if some people are going to top using the volcanic and they are going to innovate some really crazy builds on volcanic. And yeah, I also have a volcanic deck profile on my YouTube channel with Michael Ranzo, tapping volcanic deck profile. And next we have another San Avalon Rika. So yeah, standard decklist, he opted to have options on going second using the evenly match and the trust into Regeki and Lightning Storm and talents. So yeah, very interesting from Filippo. And the next we have Sky Striker from Sebastian. So this Sky Striker is kinda standard as well. Plays the Upstart Goblin and 1 Desires only. I think 1 Desires can work because you really don't want to draw the second copy of Desires, to be honest. And on the side deck, Mistaken Arrest, no? Very spicy. I think you should just use Droll and Lockbird, but maybe he wants to elevate the spell counts on his graveyard, so he opted to play a spell card version of the card. And the next, we have another Fire King here from Carlon Cho Store. Wow, another Fire King, no? I think many people will innovate the Fire King because it's kinda diverse right now. Some play without the Diabell Star engine, but most of them really play with Sinful Spoils Diabell Star on the deck because yeah, you search fire of course using the Diabell Star, so you have that extra consistency when you're playing with the Sinful Spoils package. On the extra deck, he played rather side deck, he played the Herald of the Abyss. I think Herald of the Abyss can be very underrated right now in the format, especially if your locals are still populated by purely players. Of course, Herald of the Abyss can really make a lot of sense. And the next we have another Fire King decklist. So yeah, oh, I think it's just a reference on building a deck using 3 copies of the structured deck of Fire King. And the next we have OCG local tournament, Fire King, another Fire King, no? So this time with Nadir Servant. I think it's the same decklist as earlier, yeah. And the next we have the last decklist on our report here. We have Altergeist Sinful Spoils. So this is what I'm saying earlier. I think Altergeist is better with Sinful Spoils. You have that extra negation from the Sinful Spoils so that you can protect your board from different types of board breakers and cards. And you also use the Altergeist to control the tempo of the game using those monsters of Altergeist. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you have time, you can visit our page here of Uncrowned Kings Local Metagame Report.